everybody, welcome back to Trial and Error, and you may remember this truck. This is my 2015 F-150. Did a few videos on this a while back that did really well, and I've just been driving the truck ever since. Don't put a lot of miles on it, but it's just been an awesome truck. The only thing that is not awesome anymore, and it used to be awesome back in 2015, is this center stack. This is a Platinum, so it's got a lot of options on it, but back in 2015, an option to have a big screen was not one of them. So are these screen upgrades now smooth enough in terms of their integration with the factory equipment to truly be a good upgrade? Because the first ones weren't. You could put that in, you get your radio, you get some basic stuff, but if you wanted to turn on your heated steering wheel, sorry. You wanted to turn on your cooled seats, sorry. And it just didn't integrate all that well. Will this one? I don't know, we'll see. Scoured the interwebs to find the most reputable company that's making an aftermarket dash for one of these things, and we happen to have it here today to install. So here's what I ended up with. Now, keep in mind, you can go with a much bigger screen than this. This is a 12.1 inch. They make them up in the 14 inch range. There's a reason I didn't want to go with the biggest screen you can get. When you go with that big screen, you lose some of your tactile controls. Maybe I'm just getting old, but radios that don't have a crankable volume dial when you're in the car, just, I don't know. I can't get pumped up about a good song and then do this. I'd rather tune in Tokyo. So we're with a 12.1 inch screen here because that gives us our tactile buttons down the bottom. It also prevents your top three buttons from ending up on top of the radio, which I think is just like a cop out on space. Like, no, make it make sense. So here's what we have. T-style radio. You gotta be so careful with these. There's a million of them on the market. They've flooded the marketplace. Some of them are horrific. Some of them run extremely old versions of Android. So the thing you really want to avoid is the ones that are running like Android 4 and 5 that may not even support the applications that you would want to put on this. But when you're in Android 11, it's going to run all of the apps that you would want to run. But there are some security updates and things like that that obviously you're not going to have on Android 11, but you're also not perusing a million different websites, some of which might be questionable in nature, where that security patch is really important when you're in your truck. And if you are watching those types of videos in your truck on your break, I'm disappointed in you. So the key features for this guy, 12.1 inch display, so bigger screen, obviously. I don't know how the quality is gonna be, but I can also tell you the factory quality of the display in a 2015 F-150 is not that great anyway from a resolution standpoint. So honestly, almost anything is an upgrade. It has a built-in DSP, which is really important. So one thing you don't get on a factory truck, which you have bass and treble, but you don't have any DSP, true digital signal processing, to let you EQ out the sound. So this will allow you to take your factory amp, your factory speakers, and just put a much better tailored EQ onto that setup and get a lot better sound out of it, or at least better to you, because sound is very subjective. HDMI outputs and inputs, and it comes with the adapter. So for those of you that are running headrest monitors in your trucks, there you go. 3 times, I'm not sure what the 3 times is about, but 3 times 4 volt RMS. So it's a 4 volt RMS output on the line level output. So if you're driving additional amplifiers beyond factory ones, that's a nice feature to have. I don't know why it's 3 times 4 and not 2 times 4 or 4 times 4, unless they're talking about a dedicated subwoofer channel, maybe left, right, and sub. I don't know what that's all about, but you've got your pre-outs, AM, FM with RDS, USB music and video playback while driving for the passenger and the backseat people, of course. Most importantly, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, or whatever you Apple people pick off your apple trees, whatever it's called. Really important feature that is missing from the 2015s, factory matched bezels. That one's gonna be an important one for me. I need it to look quality. I want it to look like a factory piece. So how they've done the plastic bezels and whether they use that really cheap plastic or if it's something that Ford would use, that's really important to me. I'll be sending this thing right back to them if it feels cheap or chintzy. Factory camera retention, we'll see. That truck has the full 360 camera where you're looking down on the truck. Most of these really struggle with that. So TBD on that as well. SWC retention, so steering wheel controls. So you're supposed to be able to retain all your original steering wheel controls, 3 camera inputs, Multitasking, it allows you to do a split screen, which is really nice. And then on-screen touch climate controls. Big TBD on that one as well. I'm sure it does the normal automatic dual zone climate control piece just fine, but does it do the heated seats? Does it do the cooled seats? Does it do the heated steering wheel? We'll find out. So with that, let's get this thing open. Oh, beefy. Well, I don't see any instructions, so we're off to a good start. That's how I like my stuff. Make me figure it out. I don't think we can expect to see any instructions on this stuff. I really think some of the overseas manufacturers are just relying on YouTube now for people like me to teach people like maybe you how to install this stuff. There isn't, unless it's in this box. No, it is very much not in this box. So this is up to us to figure out, and that's okay, we'll figure it out. I've been installing car stereo since before I could drive a car, so we should be okay. Woo, very nice. Good weight to it. Oh, that trim is beautiful. Oh, that is nice. Gee, okay, cool, yep. So, I want to get you in really, really close to this. If it'll focus, hopefully it's focusing. What I'd like to show you is these are the little things, like these nice edges, really smooth and even finish. You can tell the molds that they use are nice and fresh, they're well cleaned. Everything looks really, really good here. A lot of these I've seen too, everything's plastic. This from the backside, everything's metal. SIM card holder, so you could put a dedicated SIM card for data access into this, or put your phone on hotspot and the Wi-Fi receiver will pick it up and get its internet connection that way. These appear to be all of your line level output harnesses, so if you were running separate amplifiers, additional remote USB port you can install somewhere else in your truck, or probably down in the center console would be a good spot for that, so you can plug in USB sticks for media, videos, whatever. This bag appears to be the additional component that you would need to retain all of those factory controls, USB and micro USB. This would appear to be the reverse camera connector. Clearly this is our main harness. There's the antenna adapter I would have been looking for. So into the radio, into the factory antenna, that's good. So this is the part in the process where most people go, oh shoot, I bit off more than I can chew. Don't even worry about it. Just we'll pull the truck apart. You're gonna see a bunch of connectors that look very similar. They're only gonna be able to go one way. They've done a nice job of labeling all of these. Hopefully those labels are accurate, but it'll all plug and play and work. Let's get the factory head unit out of the truck. You may notice this screen looks awfully new. Well, it is, because I just spent about an hour putting it in, showing you every little detail in how everything goes together, only to go back into the house and realize that the memory card in my GoPro was corrupted. So I lost all of the footage, and I get to do it all again. Obviously we have this in. I'm going to pull it out so I can show you what I did to put it in. It's actually very easy to install. In fact, Ford, probably one of the easiest trucks to put a radio into. There's really what do we got? 1, 2, yeah, 4 screws that prevent everything from coming apart, which is amazing. We're going to start with our little pry tool here and try to get up and under this grill, which is held in pretty tight. These suckers are in there pretty good. This truck has the Sony system in it, not the Bang & Olufsen, which you would think would be a bad thing. It's actually a very good thing. The Sonys actually sounded better than the Bang & Olufsen, and I would not have believed that if my brother didn't have the same truck. Oh. Might be time for batteries. If my brother didn't have the same exact truck, but his is a year or two newer, so it has the Bang & Olufsen in it, and we did a side-by-side on this, and holy crap, he was right. This truck, for whatever reason, sounds better. Fresh bateria. Oh, what a difference. All right, so we got 2 7mm screws there. I do recommend picking them out if you can get to them, because they like to fall as you remove this panel. So we'll set those guys aside. And now this panel actually pops out very easily. It's only held in with a couple of clips in the front. Just like that. And then we'll disconnect the center channel speaker. Like so. We'll take that and move that out of the way for now. Now we have two more 7mm right up on top here. And this whole thing just pops right out. Okay, so now we got these little guys. Pop right out. I can't see what I'm doing, but hey, look at that. We have our factory camera harness, which then clips right into the camera harness that comes from this. That camera harness also powers, where's that little box? There it is. Camera box here. All of our inputs and outputs, we're only using one input, and that's the camera input coming off of that 360 camera box. So you just find the one that is labeled factory cam input and connect those two. Boom, your cameras are done. You have your main audio harness, plugs in right here and goes down and connects to the main audio harness. The factory HVAC system connections are actually on this, so those just plug directly in. Super easy. We're going to connect up a couple of antennas. So first one is the satellite antenna, which you do need to have because this thing needs to know where it is, even if it is connected to your phone. There's an excellent spot right here for that satellite antenna to mount to. There's nothing but plastic between here and there, and satellite antennas have no problem going through the plastic. So I mounted that there. You then have your Wi-Fi antenna, which I ended up just sticking right here to the passenger side air duct, wrapped all the cables up there nice and tight. You have your factory radio antenna, goes from here, plugs right into the factory radio antenna lead from Ford. You can see I've gone and wrapped it up in the fabric tape. That's not just for looks or for keeping things organized. It also really does a nice job with sound, because all of this stuff has to rub against each other. That's why the car companies generally use this type of tape, because it keeps everything quiet. But sticking out of there is our SIM card holder. If I ever want to add a SIM card for this to have its own dedicated constant internet access, it's there. And that's really it. Everything plugs in place. I know it looks complicated. It's not, because everything can only go one way. There are tons of connections you aren't going to use, but everything that you do need to use, it only goes one way, so you can't really screw that up. It just looks a little scary, but it's not scary. This up, we'll reconnect our speaker. Like so. Drop this guy back in. Installation of the microphone looks extremely unnoticeable, very, very factory. Same thing for the radio. Bezel, everything lines up extremely well. Looks very nice. Where 99% of these falter, it's not in the install, because like I said, it's plug and play and it really only goes one way. Where the issue is once you get it installed, telling it what it's in so that it knows what to do. And that took a little bit of work. First thing we're going to do is go over to settings. And by the way, this screen looks beautiful, both in the day and at night. I've had this installed now for 5 days, so I've had the opportunity to drive it in a variety of weather and sun and everything. It is beautiful. It's perfect. Settings. Here's where we start. And then into system. Setting guide. car model in AC. So what I found that is working for me, Ford, and then you have high, low, meaning option packages of the truck. So Ford high, and I ended up switching this to other. And the reason I did that is, for whatever reason, my steering heat would not work on the other two options. The 2013 setting, I can imagine why, because this is a 2015, but you would think with the Touch 360, that would have been what did it, but it didn't. The other does seem to work, so that's great. We'll hit back. So from there, you turn on the options that you have. So we have heated steering wheel, we have heated seats, and we have cooled seats. So all of those options are now on. By default, those are not on, so you got to turn those on. Camera switch, same thing. I've got a multicam and 360s, so both of those options are turned. Factory amp, I actually have it turned off, even though we have a factory amp in this truck, and I don't know. It works fine with it off, so I left it there. Mute on reverse or not, dynamic guidelines on your backup camera. You've got all these other options which aren't quite as important, but they're there. User, boot logos, you can control and change all kinds of stuff. Here's the killer right there. That is killer. What a difference this has made. Not only do you have a, I don't know what that is, 15 band, 20 band EQ, you have your adjustable high pass filters, mid pass and sub low pass, as well as your sub gain. The key is none of this stuff is accessible without something like this, but it's controlling your factory amp, your factory speakers, and that is awesome. Sound field delay, you can kind of create like a Hall almost effect within the truck. You can control how much of a millisecond delay there is between them. Obviously balance, left, right, front, and rear. This is a total game changer though. What else? General settings, day and night mode, brightnesses, antenna power, all your basic stuff. In order to access climate, you've got a couple options. It's always at the bottom of your screen here, so you can access it that way. And that's just the basics. It'll give you your temp readouts here. Climate's obviously, the truck's not on, so the climate's not on right now. But your climate, full climate menu is here. And you'll see we now have heated seats, cooled seats, driver and passenger, heated steering wheel. It's all there. The other thing is kind of neat. I like they actually have a little graphic there where it lights the seat up red for your seat heats and even varies it depending on how warm you have it set. Pretty cool little feature. Back to home. Home is always there. Back is always there. This is your, Android menu where you can open and close. Where you can open and close your apps. But pretty straightforward. You can always do a pull up here to see all of your apps. I haven't even opened. Okay, that DSP just takes you right to that. Oh, that's cool. You have a pull down from the top, just like you would expect. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, everything you need. The biggest challenge I had was getting my massaging seats to work. I had a feeling that was going to be it. And that's one of the reasons I've held off so long on these. I wanted them to be fully baked before I started messing with it because I didn't want to lose any features. Well, I found it. It's under car settings, which you can understand why I didn't see it there. But we have 3 different options up here in car settings. Well, first of which being massaging seats. So driver and passenger, those of you that have this option will recognize this screen. Allows you to start your massaging seats. Atmosphere lamp, so that's the LED lighting that's throughout the truck. You can pick the colors there, so you don't lose that either, which is really nice. And then car settings, honestly, it's just stuff you'd already have in other apps, so you wouldn't even use it. But I just leave this on the massage seat screen all the time. Android Auto works perfectly. The wireless Android Auto works perfectly. It's connected in about 3 seconds from the time you start the truck. Startup time. Hopefully you can see my start button here. So I'm going to shut the truck off. Because the other complaint with the early models of these was that boot up time was, we'll say, excessive. Ready for this? Watch my finger. 1 second. It's up before my Ford screen is up. So instantaneously, essentially, this thing is up and running, which is great. Steering wheel controls all still work. up and down, left and right. Even the speech to text piece, it allows you to pick what you want that to do. So we're going to have it go to Google always. With that set up, I should be able to say, what's the weather?
In Candia, it's 44 and partly cloudy.
It's actually freaking warm today.
Cloudy, with a high of 44 and a low of 36.
But if that's not enough weather for you, you always have your weather app, which just brings up this beautiful screen. I mean, gorgeous. Your buttons down here all do work perfectly. Your media button will just cycle you through. So we have a regular stereo here, just like a normal. If you just want to listen to the radio, you've got that as well. Obviously, we have all of your streaming services available. You don't have to scroll through this. We can go direct to it. I removed my LiveWire screen from the truck, and the reason for that is because I don't need it anymore. I now have all of those parameters right on the screen, and in fact, I can make any of these a widget and drop it right on the home screen, so it's always available. I'm going to create a boost gauge, this guy here, our little boost gauge. I'm going to press and hold, make it a floating widget, and then when I go home, I now have this floating widget I can drop right there. So I have my little boost gauge, digital boost gauge live, that's always available. And then when I want to see everything, if I'm towing, I have everything. So AFR, engine load, horsepower, which is kind of interesting, and torque, coolant temps, you name it, it's here. But it allows me to now have a nice clean dash, have the data I want when I want it all the time, and then really dig deep into data if I want to. It's all there. So pretty freaking cool. In terms of applications, obviously you can load anything you want on here. YouTube works beautifully, and you can see our widget is still hanging in there, but I can move them out of the way if I want. We'll tuck them down here for now. So if you want to watch YouTube while you're in the passenger seat, you can. Definitely wouldn't look at it as a driver, but it's there. If you haven't noticed already how responsive this is, it's really a good, like this would be a good tablet, but you know, built into the truck with all that integration, forget it, it's awesome. Bottom line, they've got these sorted, finally, and it took years. Like, I've been watching these for the last 5 years, and have not pulled the trigger on any of them because they haven't been that well sorted out. Linkswell is probably a really good name for this because this thing does link well. And it's the first one that I've seen that actually does everything in a fully loaded truck. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. Any questions, comments, concerns, or criticisms, throw them down in the comment section below me. Otherwise, have a great day.